Hey guys, Betsy Pepine was here, and you're gonna love this. You're gonna love it. It was all about like life and entrepreneurship, but also about how we put ourselves in boxes. And what do do we even know that we're in a box in society, in our lives, in our thought process? It's just a phenomenal conversation. I loved every moment, and I think you will too. And I want to make sure that you don't miss a thing and that you pick up her book because it is going to transform the way you think. All right, guys, here we go. What up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and it's just straight talk, no sugar added. I'm so stoked that you're here. I love that you come on, that you listen to my amazing guests, that you're always telling me how much you love the show. I see all the downloads happening. You guys are freaking awesome. Okay, so thank you so much. Now, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff. You know the drill. Today is no exception of an exceptional guest. Let me tell you, I love this woman's energy. I love what she's bringing into the world. So I cannot wait to have this conversation. Her name is Betsy Pepine. She's a serial entrepreneur in real estate and a thriving force behind Pepine Realty, a company that's been repeatedly recognized on the Inc. 5000's list of the fastest growing private companies in the USA. Her brokerage is also celebrated as one of the top 50 Florida companies to watch for in Florida. And I love me some Florida. I'm going there next month. I cannot wait. All right. Betsy's an expert, but she doesn't stop there. She also owns a title company, a real estate school, and a property management brokerage. Now, she also is endorsed by Barbara Cochran. I mean, we all know who that is, right? Dave Ramsey, Glenn Beck. But beyond that, what I love too is when I was reading her bio, is she has a passion for helping at-risk families with children through her nonprofit Pepine Gives. And that is just so awesome. Now she's about to launch a book about us being in boxes and all kinds of stuff. So I cannot wait to get into personal development with her. And I'm so glad you're here, Betsy. Thank you for joining us on Straight Talk.
So glad to be here, Neena. Love your podcast. I was just listening up to one with your more recent one with Christina Woods and her journey and second chapter. And that was very inspiring. And I can relate to so much of what you and she discussed.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you listened. It's been really a fun journey, right? I mean, I think we start off with one step, and before you know it, you're so far along, right? I love that about you because you're a serial entrepreneur, right? And entrepreneurship has always been brewing in my heart. I just something that I love. And so, it keeps you up at night sometimes, but it's also awesome. So, Betsy, the first off the gate is I want people to get to know you because I already love you and your energy and who you are. So, who are you actually? Who are you? Let us know.
I love that question. I would say that I am a wanderer. I have an
Mm.
insatiable curiosity. I'm always questioning why we do what we do, what's behind it, does it serve
Mhm.
us? Just constantly evaluating the pros and cons of things. But I'm also, in terms of roles, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm an identical twin.
Mhm.
I'm a mom. I'm a daughter. I am a lover of life and rescue dogs.
Oh, you rescue dogs. That's so awesome. I
Too.
love everything you say, but of course, I'm a dog lover. I have 3 dogs myself. I love
Oh,
them to pieces. And so I get that.
yeah.
There's a lot of love to give these animals. And I always was thinking about the other days, every time I walk into the room, my puppy acts like I've been gone for 20 years,
Isn't
like
that
it's like
nice?
it just shows you like, yeah, you love them and they're like a part of your life, but
Mm,
to them, you are their entire life. Like
yeah.
you're everything, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you do that. It's so caring. So I love so you're an identical twin. Does your twin do what you do, by the way?
No, she is a physician by training, and then she is right now she's a stay-at-home mother raising her children.
All right. I was gonna say because sometimes twins they go either completely opposite or they do the exact same thing. That's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
you got into real estate, and it looks like you do a lot of different things and aspects of real estate. Is that something that you have always loved, or is entrepreneurship in the bloodstream, or
Oh gosh,
that?
no. I am. I am so much the black sheep in my family. They don't even know what to do with me.
Right. I
It's
love
funny
that.
because I came from a family that the expectation was to be a physician. My dad's a physician. Both my sisters are physicians. They married physicians. We were all pre-med. And I really didn't, I knew it was not for me,
Right.
but I felt a lot of pressure to stay in the health field. And so I went, I did go to business school, but half of my degree was in healthcare management. It was an MBA, but half of the specialty was healthcare management, really to kind of appease that side of me that felt
Yeah.
like I needed to go into the medical path. And the other side was marketing. And I spent a decade in pharmaceutical marketing,
Mm.
um, and hated it. Really did not enjoy the work. I enjoyed the lifestyle that it provided me, but I
Yeah.
did, and I loved the people, but I did not like the work that I did.
Right.
Um, but honestly, I would have stayed in it had it not been for a divorce. I was 32 and suddenly single with a 1 and 2 year old daughters, and really had to evaluate what I really want in life. And I thought
Yeah.
a sign from the universe, God, source, for me, it's God. But I thought maybe this was a sign that, Betsy, you're not on the right path. And
Mm.
it's your time to do something that you really want to do. And I was so fortunate because when I was at business school, one of the classes, which I still don't really understand why, that you got credit for was to go into Center City, Philadelphia. I went to school in Philly, and you got to gut out row homes and rebuild them brand new. And then you interviewed at risk families and you quote unquote sold the home, which was for very little because everything was donated pretty much.
So awesome.
And we got to sell these homes to these at risk families, and we got to see what a house could do to the trajectory of the family. And that always stayed with me. And I had invested a little bit in real estate by that time, but I thought, you know what? I really want to change lives. And I felt like I could
Mm.
really do that through real estate. Um, it was scary. I mean, being a single mom and going from a steady job to, I mean, I literally wake up every day unemployed. That's what realtors do.
Yeah.
Uh, but I thought,
So
okay,
true.
I'll give myself 2 years. If it doesn't work out, my plan B was to go back into, there's a large medical system here. And I thought, well, I'll just go into the medical system and go back into marketing for healthcare. But really was hoping that wouldn't come to fruition. And fortunately, I loved what I did from day one. I mean, I thought I'd like it, but I truly, truly love what I do. And I'm so blessed
Yeah.
because I didn't know that that was really real. Like I didn't know you could really be passionate about what you do
Hmm.
and make it financially. So that was just one of many blessings that came out of that difficult time in my life.
Yeah, I think it does take, I believe in God as well. And I think all of these things are for a reason, right? And these difficult times I feel come and really show you who you are and what you're made of,
Yeah.
because, I was just, as you heard me in the beginning, reading your bio, right? So you've been very successful in real estate and doing that type of work. And so it shows that is probably where you were supposed to go because look how good you are at it, but also the fact that you still love it.
Hmm.
Right? Because like you said, you do wake up every day unemployed. This is true,
Yeah.
right? And because you have to find that next client, the
Right.
next project, the next thing, right?
Right.
So you have to love it. Or it's funny because we all do this, right? As humans, we always have that backup plan. Like you
Oh
always
yeah.
have that backup plan. It's so funny. I have, I just got recently licensed as a life insurance and financial
Hmm.
marketing person, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so thank you. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I wake up every day unemployed. I better find my clients. But I love it so much. It's just like when you start to like realize how you can help a family, how you
Mhm.
can break generational poverty in two
Yeah.
to three generations, like that kind of stuff
Mhm.
changes you. You're like, well, wait a second,
Right.
right? So I
Right.
love that you did that, that you became the black sheep and went your own way. You're supposed to, I think,
Yeah.
right? And I
Mhm.
think truly, if we ask most people, they would probably say they wish they would have,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
funny how we have to use the little funny term of the being the black sheep because we're so different than the maybe the status quo in our families,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
So you got into that, and then you have Pepine gives,
Yes,
right?
Pepine Gives.
So
Mhm. So
Pepine,
Pepine
yeah.
Gives is a nonprofit. I founded that in 2018 because I've always been passionate about giving back to the community, but I wanted to do it in a more concrete and defined way. And so we created this nonprofit, and the brokerage fundraises every year, and we build and support housing for at-risk, cost-burdened
I love
families
that.
in
Love
our
that.
state. We're in Florida. And again, that's been life-changing too, because we get to work alongside the families and build these homes. And these are people who have been living in cars and never thought they could have a house. And these are beautiful homes. We
Wow.
we help also assist with the financing to make sure that they are not house poor, and
Yeah.
they're going to get. We don't want them to be foreclosed on in 5 years.
Right.
So it's really about changing. It's a we Habitat. I'm a partner with Habitat, and they I love the way they say it. It's a hand up, not a handout. And I'm all
Mm-hmm.
for that. Teach them to
Mm.
fish, don't give them fish. So
Yes.
that's what I'm about, and it aligns really well with us. So that's what we do through that organization.
Has your family now accepted all the rebellion that you've done? Do
No,
they
I
accept it
think
now?
they still, I think, just think, oh, whatever, whatever she's doing. The medical background's just so different than entrepreneurship.
Oh yeah.
And it was so funny because when I launched my commercial division, we had a really big event downtown and rented out a nice space and had hundreds of people come. And my father is a physician, and he's fairly well known in our community. And I invited him obviously to come. So he comes, and he leaves at the end. He's like, Betsy, I didn't know one person in there. Who are these people? It was a community. Now, I don't live in a huge town, but it's a community that he has no, grasp of. He's so into the medical community, and
Right.
I in the business community. And so it was so
Mhm.
interesting. But yes, they have come around. I tell a story where when I decided to go into real estate, and I came from a very blessed background. My parents were able to, and they worked very hard to put all three of us, my sisters and I, through college and through graduate school. And I'm so
Awesome.
appreciative of that. But when I decided that I wanted to become a realtor, now a realtor, you need a GED, and you need to pass a state exam that takes 3 hours. And
Right.
that's all you need. And their frame of reference is a 4-year medical degree,
Right.
and then internship, then residency, and then post residency. So it's like they I don't know if they really understood why. And then my mom sat me down and said, Betsy, you go do what you need to do, but please know that we can't use you as our realtor. And I was
Mm.
so hurt.
Right.
I was really hurt, because it's like, this isn't my hometown. These are my parents. You're not going to use me as your realtor.
Right.
And I said, Mom, why wouldn't you want to use me, your daughter, as your realtor? And she said, well, you remember so and so, and it was the agent that sold them their house. And I said, yeah. And she said, well, we would want to use her. I said, Mom, you haven't bought a house in 40 years.
Oh my gosh.
Why? What alliance do you have to
Wow,
be
exactly.
Canadian? And she said, well, she sends a box of Whitman Samplers chocolates to our house every Christmas. And I thought, I was so hurt. I can't, I really was hurt.
I
But
would have been hurt
at
too.
the
Whitman
same time,
chocolate, your daughter.
at the
Uh,
same time, you know what? I said to myself, this is going to be a piece of cake, because if that's all it takes to have a
yeah.
loyal customer for life is a box of
Yeah.
chocolate once a year, I can do that.
Right.
So
Right.
in a way, it gave me confidence that I could make it in this industry.
Yeah.
And now they do use me as
Good. Good. Mom and dad, good job.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I love that. Are your daughters showing signs of entrepreneurship?
Yes, very much so. So my one daughter, and I think it helped. One, they just grew up. They really helped me in my business. I mean, I joke, but they were really my fulfillment center. They were licking envelopes for me for my mailers.
So
They
cute.
went to my showings with me. They did the events with me. So they really knew real estate by the time they went to college. They're now 25 and 26, but they were in college during COVID and were looking to make extra money because so much had shut down. And so one of my hobbies is to run Airbnbs. And so I said, well, just take my Airbnbs and manage them. And so they both did that remotely. And then one of them just loved it and has her own Airbnb management company, and she has properties all
Good.
around the country. And she is now going to go back to law school in August. And the other one is very independent, is living in Australia, because that's where she was during COVID, and Australia, shut their borders down very
Yeah.
early. Um, and she is still managing some of my Airbnbs for me, and then she's in graduate school.
That's so cool. Isn't that cool? And
Yeah,
like
it is.
look at what you did too. You kind of broke the pattern too, right? Because they didn't get into one is
Mhm.
going into law, one is, moved
Yeah,
out, abroad. And they
right.
you broke that pattern of you have to be a physician. This is what you have to do. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
That's so good. And it just shows you like, one shift in decisions that you make, right? One
Mhm.
step in a different direction and how it could change.
Yeah.
And so now you're going to be touching lives in a different way because you're coming out with a book, right?
Mhm.
So I
Yep.
want to hear about the book and why this book and what are we doing? So let's dig into that.
So the book, I'd say about 7 or 8 years ago, I started feeling, and I'm 55, so that was around 47-ish. I started feeling unsettled, and it took me a long time, months, to accept that I was, because I didn't feel like I had the right to be unhappy, because I
Mm,
felt like on paper, I'm so blessed, and I know that I am, and I see, I work with people who have so much less in some ways than me,
mhm,
but they had so much life that I didn't have, and I just felt like I wasn't even comparing myself to them, but I felt internally unsettled and unhappy, and I'm like, how can this be? I've worked so hard, but I'm not happy. And so it was funny because about that time I was looking on the internet for something, and I came across this photo, and it's a photo of this girl. This young girl. She's about 4 years old in a one-piece bathing suit. She's outside on her lush green lawn. Her legs and arms spread out as wide as they can be. She has a unbridled joy grin on her face, and rain is pouring down on her. And it stopped me in my tracks, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so I printed it out. I sent it to a company who put it on canvas for me. I have it up on my wall at my office and at my home office. It's my screensaver on my phone. It's my screensaver
wow.
on my computer. I wanted to be around this little girl. And then a year later, I'm in Florida, and we have hurricanes in Florida, and a hurricane was coming through. And anytime a hurricane comes through, I always pick a project that I want to work on, because invariably the electricity is going to go out, and I'm going to be hunkered down. So a couple hours into the hurricane, of course, the electricity goes out. It's getting to be dark. I can't see. I light the candles. I pull out my project. And that hurricane, the project was to put all these photos that I had accumulated in boxes into photo albums. And so I'm putting all the photos in the photo albums, and then I'm done. And I take the photo boxes to the trash, and I'm putting them in the trash can. And I notice at the bottom of the last box I'm putting in that there's this photo turned upside down. So I pull out the photo, and I can't see it because it's dark, and I move it over to a candle. And I was like, oh my gosh. I run with the photo and a candle to my office and put it up against the photo on my wall. And I look down at the photo that I'm holding in my hand, and it's this picture of this little girl in her favorite red striped one piece bathing suit. She's standing 3 feet in front of her father in the ocean, jumping towards a wave as if to hug it. And on the bottom of that photo, it says, Betsy, age 4.
Oh
I was
wow.
like, oh my gosh,
You give me
I
chill.
was that girl. And on the
Oh my
bottom of the
gosh.
photo that I have in my office, it says, remember her. She's still there inside you, waiting. Let's go
Oh
get her.
my God.
And I
Come on,
just felt like,
Betsy.
looking at that photo,
Wow.
I'm like, she's telling me, go get me, come back, rescue me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so then I'm like, so I've been on this journey that was about 6 years ago. I've been on this journey to find that again and make my
Yeah.
way back. I lost my way, and how do I make my way back?
Right.
So it's through a process of so much reading. I love to read anyway, but so much reading, therapy, meditation, yoga, EMDR, inner child work, um, bioenergetics, just all, opened my whole world into new ways of thinking and
Mhm.
really taking me back to what I had lost. And in that journey, what I found was through my journaling was that a lot of my um, pain was from a life of feeling like I was confined in these boxes that, whether it's my family of origin, my religion, my industry, my gender, my society as a whole, and even myself, put myself in.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
boxes, I don't feel like boxes are necessarily good or bad. Some are definitely we want to stay out of, but some can serve us at certain periods of our life.
Yeah.
But I tend to extend my welcome. And
Mhm, mhm,
I
mhm.
don't exit as quickly as I need to. And so part of that journey has been to really tap into, because I'm like, well, how do I know when I'm in a box too long? And what I've uncovered is that my body will tell me, but I was not I didn't grow up in a house where emotions and feelings were talked about at all. It was always, Betsy, what do you think? What do the facts tell you?
Right.
It was very scientific, because I would
Yeah.
come from a background of medical folks, and it has to be. But if you ever displayed any negative emotion, it was always like, no, that's bad. You should be ashamed of yourself. Look how great you have it. Look,
Oh,
it
yeah, I
was
get that.
negated.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I learned at an early age to just circumvent that, to the point where I didn't even recognize feelings. I just bypassed them, and it was always, okay, what do you think? What do you think? And I totally ignored pain in my body. And sometimes it really manifested as true physical pain,
Mhm,
but I
mhm.
would just ignore it. And in therapy, I remember my first day, she's like, talk to me about your feelings. And she's like, and I said, oh, I feel pretty good. And she's like, okay. She's like, well, what other emotions do you feel at times? And I honestly was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you feel good, but what else do you feel? I said, well, I either feel good or I feel bad. And those were my two adjectives that I could describe. I
Right.
really didn't have any other vocabulary. And so she got me introduced to the feelings wheel, which is a wheel that really shows your
Mhm.
feelings. You start out with good or bad, and then it kind of branches out, and then it helps you really refine exactly how you're feeling and the nuances of those feelings. And it's really simply a exercise for me of, one, recognizing what I'm feeling, what is my body telling me,
Yeah.
and just moving towards that which feels good. And
Yeah.
I'd never done that before. I mean, I was 47, 48, and I never moved towards that which made me feel good. It was always, what did I think was the right answer or the best
Right.
course, or
More logically than
more
feeling. Yeah.
logically. And also, sadly, my decisions were largely based on fear, not of love. Like, fear of loss of
Yeah.
a relationship, loss of reputation, loss of stature, loss of financial security, loss of what my parents, or I don't even know who they are,
Right.
they might think, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I wasn't making it, I want love, and I'm not talking about romantic love, just love, and
Yeah.
the whole reason we're here. I want that in my life, but I'm making decisions totally based on fear, the opposite of what I want in my life. So that's why I wrote the book, because the book is a memoir. It's a series of short stories about when I found myself in boxes. And at the beginning, it's like, I don't even know I'm in a box. I am literally
Right.
Jim Carrey in the Truman Show, living
Yeah.
my ordinary life,
Love that
totally
example.
oblivious to the fact that it's
Yeah.
being orchestrated on a set by others.
Yeah.
Total oblivion,
So good.
and then move into a period of, I think I'm sensing some uncomfortableness here, maybe not having the courage to get out. And then the final set of stories are where it's like, I recognize it, I see it, I have the courage to get out.
Yeah. And also you gave yourself permission to get out, right? Because I think that's one of the things, with a lot of the women that I work with, is they sometimes need to hear me give them permission to do something,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
it's interesting that we do that as adults, right? Because
mhm,
we're like, no, I'm an adult, I run my own life. What are you talking about? But
mhm,
then when you realize you're stopping yourself from doing all the things you want to do,
mhm,
and really somebody can just tell you, you can be pissed if you want to be
mhm.
pissed. You know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
you can feel afraid right now if you want to,
Yeah.
fine. You don't have to freaking do that if you don't want to today. Like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And it's like almost like we need permission to
Right.
do that, right? So I love that you go through that journey with us in the book, right?
Mhm,
Like recognizing we're in the box. Maybe I'm
mhm,
a little afraid to leave the box, but now
mhm,
I know that there is a box and I want to get out.
mhm,
Right. And
mhm,
that's really a journey, I think, for all of us to
mhm,
read, because we all do this, and
mhm,
in many different areas of our life.
mhm. Oh, yeah.
We all do this. So, I remember many years ago talking to this very elderly woman. I used to be a medical assistant for like 15 years, and I was taking the patient to her room, and I just couldn't help but to ask her, because she was like, I think in her 90s. I can't remember exactly, but like 90s. It was really, she was like 96, something like that. Anyway, I took her into the room, and I'm like, wow, can I ask you, in your life, what is the one thing you regret the most?
Mhm,
Right?
mhm.
And she said, the one thing I regret the most is never living my life the way I wanted to live it,
Oh,
but always living it the way someone else wanted me to live it. And now she's 90 something years old.
mhm.
She can't go back and like recreate her
Yeah.
life again. Our life is
Mhm,
borrowed. Our
mhm.
breath is borrowed.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
it's like, Betsy, I think what you're doing is amazing, and how you are, putting your experiences and everything out there, because I know that people who are listening can relate.
Mhm,
Right? A lot of people who listen to the show, like yourself, are
mhm,
entrepreneurs, are
mhm.
thought leaders, coaches, things like that, that listen to the show, that just want a different perspective, or
Yeah.
something someone has gone through that maybe can touch their life in some way to change their shift, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I love that, because you've already shown that in your journey, just by kind of like, going off on a different path than the whole family has gone.
Mhm,
Putting your stake in the ground and saying, I'm
mhm.
going to do what I can do to change this.
Yeah.
But not only did you change it for you, you changed it for your children, your children's children, your
Yeah.
children's children's children, right? It
Yeah.
shifted everything. Decisions shift
Yeah.
everything,
No, it's
right?
great. Yeah. And it's still a journey. I haven't arrived,
Of course.
it's a destination I'll never reach. But I'm so glad that I'm so glad I'm on the journey that I'm on. I
Yeah.
finally have joy. Joy was something that wasn't in my life a lot before. It
Hmm.
wasn't a
Hmm.
value of the family of origin of mine. I had some tremendous, great other strong values that I'm so grateful to have, but joy was not one of them. And I remember going to a class, and it was a profiling class, and they kind of tell you what country you live in based on your personality. And I apparently live in the control country. And and there was another group that live in the fun country. And the guy matched us with our opposites. And so I
Oh,
was matched with the fun country group. And I was just so amazed. There are people that wake up every day, and the first question they ask themselves is, how am I going to have fun today? And I
yeah.
thought,
I
wow, if
love that.
I woke up every day and that is my priority, which it really should be, right?
Right.
I mean, we're here for such a short period of time.
Right.
How can
Right.
I bring joy into my life? And I was like, that was a huge mind shift for me. And so I really try. I have a habit tracker, and that's a habit that I work very intentionally on a daily basis, because if I don't plan it, joy doesn't spontaneously happen in my life.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so it's been a wonderful journey to be on.
Yeah,
Um,
but you're also intentional. Like, you're intentionally bringing joy in your life.
yeah.
That's so good. Like, most of us don't do that. I know
Mhm,
I don't. I don't
mhm,
wake up every day like, "Well, do I bring joy in my life?" I
mhm.
try to live my life with joy for sure, and I
Yeah.
also try to pause and recognize the beauty around me, and think of all the blessings God has given me. And I
Mhm,
also think about, today is borrowed, because I'm not
mhm.
promised tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what do I want to do today? Like, what
Mhm,
do I want to adventure? What do I want to do?
right.
Yeah, that's exciting. So, Betsy, before I wrap up, I do want to know like the name of your book, like where
Sure.
can we can find your book, how do we support you, all that great stuff.
So the book is called Breaking Boxes, Dismantling the Metaphorical Boxes That Bind Us. It'll be out September 23rd in soft, hard, Kindle, and Audible.
Awesome.
Pre-sales are available now, I think, for the Kindle version, but it's on Amazon, and then it'll be on all the major book retailers on their sites. You can also find me on betsypepine.com. It's just my name, betsypepine.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter and the book. And I'm also on all the social media platforms. TikTok, actually, TikTok, I'm known as Gainesville Realtor, but on the other platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, I'm just Betsy Pepine.
That's so awesome, Betsy. Thank you so much for coming on here and just sharing
Oh,
all that
what a
beauty. I
pleasure.
love that. So much fun. So much fun. And guys, just so you know, Betsy is so gracious. As busy as this woman is, I had Wi-Fi stuff going on. I had all this stuff. And she was like, okay, sure, tomorrow before I get on a plane and leave, no problem. Such a gracious person. Thank you so much for being here and blessing our audience. And I cannot wait to get your book. I really appreciate you. Thank you so
Oh, my
much.
pleasure. Thank
So
you.
much fun. So, guys, make sure that you follow Betsy Pepine. I'm going to put all of her information below so that you can go ahead and grab that book, right? Because we need to start being aware of what boxes we're in and how to climb out of them and get out, right? Because sometimes, yeah, I always I call it like staying in a past vacation too long, where you
Mm.
vacation something in the past. You like you maybe you had a trauma or something that's happened, and you just sit there for a little too long. I'm like, that is too long of a vacation. It's
Yeah.
time to move forward. Betsy is saying if you're in a box and you know you need to move out of that box, at least become aware that there's a box and then get yourself to the point where you can start moving out of the box. Give yourself permission to live your life on your terms. All right, guys, I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, subscribe. You know everything you have to do, but I really want you to pick up this book because I know it's going to be a blessing. All right, guys, until next time.